Hi, everybody. November 1st, so obviously it's time to do Christmas cards. It's kind of crazy that it's November. Can't believe it. But it is so. Hope everybody is doing well. I'm just pulling up my instruction sheet in case there's any questions. And we'll get going in a few minutes. I just want to make sure everybody who's going to log in is here. We've got a couple of different size cards here, so I'll go over the scoring as we get to them. We've got some standard size cards and a couple bigger and some bigger ones too, to make sure we fit in the size of the decorative cards from the paper collection. All right, so this is the Let's Get Cozy collection from Graphic 45. And you have some, all of the pieces you need for the card should be in the envelopes with each of the card sets. You'll also need your embellishment kit. You might want to open this up and spread it out in a spot a little bit away from your work area, because we'll be digging through for certain pieces to put on cards. And then I also used this die cut from Close to My Heart, which is the circle lattice background. I didn't actually look. I can do that while I'm talking here. This was part of their card creativity special, which went September through October, but I'm guessing it's probably still available for a while. I got notification, Lindsay, that yours shipped, so they should be coming to you soon. I'll let you know as soon as they're in my hands. Just see if it, it's not actually on the website, but I'm pretty sure I can still get it at least for a couple of days. If you are, well, while we're making these cards, you decide you really like it, I can see if I can get it for you. But this makes a nice background, and I was hoping to use this in another upcoming class because it's a classic quilting kind of design. So I was going to do a quilt card class, so I was hoping to use that again. But you've got the cutouts you need for the card. And then I also used the stamp of the month for November. So this just became available today, and it's called Christmas Snowflake Mandalas. I just stamped on them, but they would be really pretty. Let me take the stamp off, because the stamp, now that it's been inked, you can't really see the pretty design as much. So you should be able to see that better. Even better if I have a white background. Here we go. They are snowflakes, but they don't have to be. Like, this doesn't, I mean, if you put it with winter Christmas paper, it looks like a snowflake, but it doesn't have to be a snowflake. I think you can use it all year round personally. But it also has some really nice Christmas greetings on it. So it's a great all around stamp set. So this is available for the month of November. It's $18.95, but if you make a $50 order of product, then it's only $5. So that's what we're using today. So hopefully your kits are still in order from how I assembled them, so you'll be able to find the ones we're looking for pretty quickly. So the first one here we're going to do is this blue one that says Hello Winter with the bunnies. And I am going to go ahead and open up my embellishment pack here and put it on a piece of paper, because we're not going to use the whole thing. There'll be lots of pieces left over, and I gave you the leftover paper that I didn't use, from the pieces I cut out for the card. So there's a lot of pieces left over when we're done here for you to make some more cards. So there we go. And so our first card is on sapphire cardstock. And as always with the current Close to My Heart cardstock, there is the original side, which is the true color, which is always darker, the darker side. And then there's a lighter side. It's a shade of the same color, so it gives you a little more flexibility when you're creating. And I'll try to remember, and if I don't remember, go ahead and tell me that which side to score on. Now this one, there's not a huge difference. You can see it, but it's not a huge difference, light to dark, but we are going to be scoring on the dark side. I think most of the cards here I scored on the dark side, but I'll let you know if I did not. And this is a 9-inch wide card, so we're going to score at 4.5 inches and fold. Now, if you're not somebody who likes to score or prefers to score, then you can just fold it in half as well. And then we're going to turn it over, because we're always going to fold towards the bump. So go ahead, fold that and burnish it. And I'm going to tell you right now that I did not put individual gems in each card. You should have a package of gems, or a sheet of gems, or actually I think it's a couple, because there should be a big size and a small size will be in one of your envelopes in your kit. So I'm going to get those out so I'm ready. And we're going to first put down the pattern paper with the bunnies on it. Now, as always, you don't have to use the side I use. You are welcome to use either side, but I'm going to tell you what I did. And we're just going to put adhesive on the back of that, and we're going to center it on our card. You will have an 1/8-inch border around all 4 sides. It's kind of the standard border. And we've got this piece of cream and this piece of gray. And it's pewter. Pewter is the color. This is the retired colonial white cardstock, but it's just an off-white. We have a vanilla cream, which is a little whiter. Or I'm sure everybody's got some cream cardstock. But this piece of gray, the pewter, we're actually going to use the lighter side facing up. So I'm going to put adhesive on the back of the cream, and the cream is the same color front and back, so you don't have to worry about which side. I'm going to attach that to the lighter side of the pewter cardstock, and then I'm going to put adhesive on the back of the pewter cardstock, and I'm going to center that on the card. And if I cut everybody's right, you should have a row of bunnies at the top and at the bottom. And then these two embellishment pieces come from your embellishment pack. So we're going to go ahead and dig through our embellishment pack and find this little banner that says "Let's Get Cozy," and this bigger embellishment piece that says "Hello Winter." Keep in mind that they might be upside down. So, and there's quite a few banners to look through. So I'm going to put my some of my bigger pieces to the side because those are easier to see, and then I can maybe have an easier time digging through the smaller pieces. Where is it? I don't see it. Hope you get, oh, here it is. It's upside down. The back of them all have this light blue pattern with the snowflakes on it. So, okay, so let's get cozy. So, I'm going to use glue here. Now you could put adhesive on the more solid part, but yeah, I guess I'll do that since it's a little faster. So I'm just going to put some adhesive around the solid rectangle, and then I'm going to add a few dots of liquid glue on this fancy scroll work. Now, there's not a lot, they're not very wide pieces, so you do not want a lot of glue. I'm talking teeny tiny, well, this isn't exactly teeny tiny, but just little dots here and there, just to secure it to the card. But you don't want it to ooze out all over the place. A little bit is fine because this glue will dry clear, but and of course the smaller the little dots of glue you put on them, the quicker they dry. So working fast is what you want to do. And then I'm just going to put it down and center it. See, it oozed out a little, but just make sure if it does ooze out, you don't put anything on top of it until it dries. And then you can always use your bone folder to press it down. I have a little curl here that's kind of lifting up. I think it got folded or something. So I'm just going to make sure I put some glue on that so I can get it to lie flat. All right, so now I'm going to put my Let's Get Cozy banner on, and I'm going to put this on with foam tape. You can put it on flat if you want. I'm just going to put a couple of pieces of tape on it. I use a big roll of foam tape and cut it up, but the foam dots, if that's what you have, work well too. I just tend to use it in so much bulk that I buy the rolls. I'm just going to put a piece of scrap paper underneath here in case I need it for that glue. And then I'm just pulling off the backing, and I am going to place this over the bottom portion. I have a little bit of the scroll work showing below it. And I just want to center it. Try to center it before you place it down. And that's where I placed it. Okay, and now you have your piece of shimmer trim. All of the glittery pieces that I used in these cards are shimmer trim, so they have the sticky on it and that plastic coating that you have to remove. And this one I was a little tricky with. I didn't cut two separate pieces, although you're going to use it in two pieces. So just remove. I had it and I let it go. Remove the backing from the whole thing, and then I am going to place it where this banner ends. Try to lift it up so I don't accidentally tape it to the paper, but I can't do it in the air. Okay, so I placed it right where the banner ends to the end of the card, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn it around and cut it flush with the edge of the card. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Place it where the banner ends. And it should be, I should have given you enough that it goes past the edge of the card. Now be careful when you cut this side, because this is your fold. You don't want to cut into the fold, but you should be able to line your scissor up and just cut off that little extra. And then your piece, it looks like it goes behind the whole thing, but you're not using as big of a piece. And then we are going to put our gems on. Now, most of you know that when I put gems on a card, I like to add a little extra glue. But actually, I'll show you this first. Sometimes the adhesive doesn't stick so well. It sticks better to the backing sheet than to the gem. So I like to just make sure the adhesive is securely on the gem, and you could do that like I just did, which is turn it over and rub your bone folder or even your finger or something over it. You could also lift it up like this and just kind of rub your nail underneath the gem and really make sure that it's like a glue dot underneath, and make sure that's it adhered to the gem. And if you do it on all of them right now, then you don't have to worry about it through the rest of the class. So I kind of press down the front of it with my thumb, and then behind it I take my nail and kind of push. I mean, only once in a while is it a problem, but then you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so I am going to put down a dot of glue where I want to put mine. Like I said, this is totally optional. I just find sometimes with cards, it you know, you put them in the envelope and you know, they don't stick as well because they get a lot of handling. So I put a dot on the middle section vertically on each end. There's this little scroll thing. So I put a dot right there, and up in the middle of the top. Now, you don't have to put a ton, and you don't want a ton because it'll ooze out. But just a little bit, it just gives it a little extra security, I find. So we're going to use the big gems, and I'm going to put them right over those dots of glue. This one doesn't want to come up. All right, so that's it. I did not decorate the insides of these cards because I didn't know what kind of greetings you wanted to use. But like, I'm sure everybody's got tons of greetings. And then, like I said, there's a bunch of pattern paper left over, so you can decorate the insides as well. I think there's one or two that I put a piece in that I'll show you, but otherwise just did the outsides today. So that's our first card. Oh, yeah, I hope they're in the, if you have if you don't find them, let me know. You could always go through and add them after the fact, but hopefully you just, hopefully they're in one of your envelopes. You just haven't seen which one. Try maybe the backmost card if it's not in the front one. I'm going to put my stamp back away before I lose it. I came out with the right number. I don't have any extra, so hopefully it actually is in there for everybody. All right, so this is our next card. And again, we're going to use the sapphire cardstock. And again, we're going to score on the dark side. You'll have one of those snowflake mandalas there and a couple extra pieces of paper. And again, this card is 6 by 9. So you're going to put the dark side facing up in your scoreboard and score at 4.5 inches. And then fold it with the lighter side in and the darker side out. Okay, so I gave you a whole snowflake here, but we're actually only going to use half of it. So you can use your scissors, you can use a paper trimmer, you could use a ruler and knife, but we're going to cut it right in half. And the way I held it is this way. So the these repeating lines The petal that has the repeating lines should be at the 12 and 6 positions. That's up and down. And I'm going to put it in my paper trimmer. And you're just going to position the points of those two petals on your cutting line. It's approximately at 2 1/8, but I may not have been absolutely perfect stamping it. So you can usually see, and I just placed it right on those points, and then I have a half a snowflake. And then you can we're not going to use this at all, so you can put this aside and use it on another card. I'm just going to put adhesive on the back of this. Now this piece, we are going to center it top to bottom. You're going to have a little extra space at the top and bottom, but you want your 1/8 inch border to the left. Put it on the left side of the card and leave 1/8 of an inch between the edge of the card and the edge of the piece of cardstock. And then you're going to put your piece of shimmer trim, and these should be cut exactly to size. Exactly to size, based with the caveat that sometimes paper cutters are a little. I use both my big and my little paper cutters, so sometimes they're not exactly the same. All right, so I'm putting this down directly next to the edge of the snowflake panel. And then we're going to use this piece of paper with the houses at the top. And we're going to put our adhesive on the back of that. And we're going to put it with a 1/8 inch border on the right. So mine are a little, this piece is a little wider than the piece I have on my other sample. So you can either trim that, or you can go ahead and put it down. And then the piece of shimmer trim is just slightly narrower than I have on the sample. So it kind of depends on how your snowflake was stamped, how you place it on the card. You can also, let's see how well I stuck my shimmer trim down. If you don't want to bother to trim it, and you do want more shimmer trim showing, you can put the paper down and then put the shimmer trim on top. Like I said, sometimes you get some inconsistencies with the paper trim. If you want to be able to peel stuff back up, don't burnish it right away until you're sure you've placed it where you want to place it. All right, so then we're going to go back to our embellishment kit, and that's where we get this square that says there's no place like home. And we're going to attach that to our red cardstock. And the red cardstock is called Scarlet. And we're going to put it on the darker side. Again, they look, the light and the dark look pretty close. And we're going to just center that on the square, on the red, the scarlet square. And then we're going to use foam tape to attach it to the card. So I'm just putting a piece in each of the four corners and then one in the middle to keep it raised. And then I'm going to place it about 1/4 of an inch from the right edge of the card and about 1/8 of an inch up from the bottom edge. So you can really see those houses. It's about 1/8 inch from the bottom here and 1/4 inch from the right side. And then we're just going to add some gems. So this is where I place the gems. There's a big one in the center, and that's going to overlap the shimmer trim. And then there's a small one in each of those corners, almost the corner. So I'm just adding, I didn't close my glue back up. I thought it would stay, but not. Clogged up a little bit. So I'm just putting a dot of the glue in the center of what would be the center of the snowflake. And then one about 1/4 of an inch from that, the end of those little circles. And again, about 1/4 of an inch from the end of those circles up there. And again, I'm going to put the big one in the center. And again, it's going to overlap the shimmer trim a bit. And then I'm going to put small ones on the other 2 dots of glue. And that's that card. Let me get this out of the way. There, and maybe you can see that a little better if you need to consult back. All right, so our next card is is red cardstock, the scarlet cardstock. And this paper was an all over design. And when I cut it out, I just centered the deer and the bear and the Hello Winter. And so there's several of them on that piece of paper, and I gave you the rest of the paper. So you could probably make a couple more cards similar to this if you wanted to. So, so this is a 5.5 by 8.5 inch card. This is a standard size card. So we're going to score on the darker side facing you. Facing up, and it's 8.5 inches wide, so we're going to score at 4 1/4. This is a standard A2 card, and after you fold it, it'll be 4 1/4 by 5.5. So you can see the difference there. So the lighter color to the inside, the darker color to the outside. And we're going to go ahead and just place this this paper right on top. It's a 1/4 inch smaller than the card in each direction, so that we get that that 1/8 inch border all the way around. And then we're going to, sorry, you can't see that. We're going to create our little layers here. So we've got this Let It Snow, which was cut from, there's one piece of paper in the collection that has all the cards and the kind of decorative elements on it. And I cut that apart for you. So that came out, that's where that came off of. And we're going to put it on the cream cardstock. And instead of centering it, we're going to butt it all the way up to the top. So there's only a border on the left, the right, and the bottom. I just put that on crooked, so I'm just going to adjust it. There we go. So they're lined up, the two tops are lined up, and there's only the 1/8 inch border at the left, the right, and the bottom. And we're going to do that also on the blue, the sapphire cardstock. And this time we're going to put it on the lighter side. So I'm putting adhesive on the back of the cream cardstock, and I'm lining up the top of it with the top of the sapphire, the lighter side. And I don't know if my measurements or my cutting was off, but I have a bigger space at the bottom. You could do this with a paper cutter if yours is bigger, or I'm just going to go ahead and cross that and make that border at the bottom more even with the ones on the two sides. And then I'm going to put foam tape on the back of this so we can raise it up. And again, I'm going to put a piece in each of the four corners and one in the middle. I know some people like to use bigger pieces of foam tape, and that's perfectly fine. And I am going to put this in the top right of the card. I'm going to line up again the top of this element with the top edge of the card, which is the fold line. And then I'm going to put it about 1/4 of an inch in from the right edge. I'm actually going to move it a little bit more to the right than I did on my sample, just because I don't want to cover, no, that's still about 1/4 of an inch. I didn't want to cover the bear's ear, it's just on the back. So this is lined up at the top, and you're about 1/4 of an inch from the right. And then we're going to put this little star down here. And the place I got this star was from off of this piece of paper. So this is the back of that bunny paper, and it has this beautiful star design in it. And so there's 2, and there should be 2 on each of your pieces of paper too. And we're actually going to use the second one on the next card. So we might as well just go ahead and cut both of them out now. So what I do when I'm cutting out something like this, I find it easier, being right-handed, to just cut the right sides of the diamonds first. And I go ahead right from the edge because I know I'm not going to use the rest of this paper. And then once it's freed up a little, I can go back in and now cut the left edge. Instead of trying to, I don't want to go in and try to cut this way. That's too difficult, and I might cut or mangle my paper. But because it's a short, straight line, I can kind of eyeball that and just make a straight cut. So I'm just going to do that again. I'm going to come through and cut the right sides of these, and then cut the left side when I don't have to bend back the paper to fit my scissors in. That makes sense. Okay, so now I'm getting to the point where I might interfere with this other star. So I'm going to cut around it because I don't accidentally want to cut into that other star because I want to use it. So I already cut that side. I thought these pieces were easy enough to cut out, and they made a cool element on the card. So that's all you have to do. And I'm going to go ahead and cut my other one so I'm ready for the next card. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, we're only using the 2 of them, so not too much cutting. So this is another way to use your paper. If you find papers that have elements like this, you don't have to use the full piece. You could just cut out pieces of it. Like if you wanted to highlight the bear or the deer or even the houses, you could always just cut those out of the paper. If you follow Graphic 45, you've probably seen a lot of artwork where they have a panel like this and then they'll cut out pieces from a second piece of paper and layer it. That's a pretty popular technique for them. Personally, I don't want to cut out those antlers. That's just me. More power to you if you are capable of doing that. I know I would spend a half an hour cutting it out. I would get all the way to the end, and then I would accidentally cut one off because that's just my life. All right, and whoops, now I have another star. Right. Toss these scraps. And then I'm just going to attach this to the card with, did I just throw away one of my stars? And of course those scraps went instantly all the way to the bottom of my scrap bin. All right, I'm not going to dig for it now, make you guys wait. I'll find it later. Figures. Don't throw away your star. there's your tip for tonight. So I'm going to put a piece of foam tape on there. And one in the center is enough. And I'm not going to attach it because I'm going to save it for the next one. But there, I'm going to put it right down there. And then I'm going to put a large gem in the center of this snowflake on the Let It Snow banner. Whoops, that was a little too much glue. And then I'm going to put a dot of glue on the center of the star. And I'm going to put a large gem did such a good job of rubbing the adhesive onto the gems. I really secured it to the carrier sheet too. And then I'm going to put a small gem onto my star here. So this is what this card looks like. Okay. Okay, so for our next card, we're back to the 6x9 cardstock. So we're going to score at 4.5. Darker side facing up. This is the pewter cardstock. Score onto the darker side and then fold so the lighter side is on the inside and the darker side is on the outside. So the first piece to go on to this card is this with another one of those snowflakes. Now, as you can see, we are only going to see about half of that snowflake, but we're not going to cut this one. We're going to attach this whole piece and then just put the papers over it. And so that way you get this, this cream border at the top and the bottom of this piece of paper. I stamped both this in the previous snowflake with sapphire ink. So the same color as the blue paper we've been using. And what I'm going to do, this piece of cardstock is the same width, 6 inches, same width as the card. So you can line it up with one edge and it'll reach the other one, and you're going to center it top to bottom, and you're going to have about a little less than 1/4 of an inch at the top and at the bottom. Now we're going to use this paper. This is the same paper design we just cut the stars out of, but we're actually going to keep it intact and attach it to the card. So we'll put adhesive on the back, which is the bunny side. And again, we're going to line this up with the left side of the card. And you're going to center it top to bottom. I'm placing it on here so the whole star is lower. It's below the halfway point. If everybody should have their paper cut approximately the same way as I did. So if you have a full star, keep it lower. And then you will have this piece of there it is. This strip of this was cut from one of the papers. It was cut from the paper that we actually used on that vest card with the houses. This was one of the rows of that striped paper, one of the strips. So we're going to go ahead and put adhesive on the back of that, and we're going to line this up right next to that piece of paper we just put down. The height of this piece should be the same height as the cream cardstock, so you'll line up the top and the bottom edges. Then we're going to create our banner here that says Snow Days. This is from that piece of paper that had all the banners and the cards on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it to this piece of pewter cardstock. We're going to attach it to the lighter side, and we're going to do like we did on this card. We're going to place it all the way to the left. So we're going to line up the left edges. Now my banner is actually slightly larger. It's the thing with these printed papers, they're not always the same size. So you can see, like on this one, it's depending on how I cut it, and each one is not cut perfectly. So this one I have this 1/8 inch to the right of it. This one I only have this little tiny bit of gray here. It's about a 1/16 of an inch, not an 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to leave it. But if you thought that was too little and you didn't like it, you could always cut it to be flush, and then you would have a border at the top and the bottom. The other thing you could do is, if you didn't already stick it down well, you could always trim your red around the edges. But like I said, it's really hard to cut these perfectly, so I'm sure everybody's it's just slightest bit different. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put foam tape on this piece on the back of the gray. As we're going along here, I'm gonna I probably won't think to do this, but you are always welcome to before you put your adhesive on, go ahead and, you know, hold the pieces up as I'm layering them to make sure I did cut them properly and that you do like the spacing, which gives you a little time to trim it as we're going along. I know we don't have a lot of time here as I'm speeding through these, but you can always adjust the cutting. I did if I didn't do a good enough job. Okay, so we are going to put this banner about a ½ inch down from the top of the pattern paper. And it'll be longer, it'll cover up part of that snowflake. And then we're going to take our other star we cut out from the previous card, and we're going to put foam tape on the back. And we're going to put this basically centered over the best we can do, center it over the center of the snowflake. So it is overlapping that banner we just put down. And then we're going to put a small gem in the middle of this. And again, we're going to put a small gem up here and one down here. See here, just like we did, same kind of spacing as we did on the other card with the snowflake stamp. Put that dot of glue or just the gem directly about 1/4 inch away from those 3 dots. And we're using 3 small gems on this card. So first one right there in the center of the star. And one on each of the diagonals here. Our next one has our cute little bear. We've got a snowflake stamped on the pewter cardstock. So this is another 9x6 card. These fit in these 9x6 cards. I mean, you all have envelopes to fit them, but the size of envelope that they fit in is an A6 envelope. Just so you know. We're going to score again on the darker side of the sapphire cardstock at 4.5 inches. We're going to fold with the lighter side inside, the darker side outside. These two strips of floral pattern paper are the same size. Oh, excuse me. And I'm going to go ahead and put adhesive on the back of both pieces. And then I'm also going to put adhesive on the back of my snowflake panel. And that was stamped on the lighter side of the pewter cardstock. So we're putting our adhesive on the darker side. And the first piece I'm going to put down is one of the strips of the floral. I'm turning my card here just because it's easier for me to see when I put it down. And I'm going to put it on the right. Oh shoot, I cut mine wrong. But I did cut them the same size as my snowflake panel. So just check to make sure that your pieces are the same height. So the snowflake, now the snowflake panel is slightly rectangular because it is not a perfect circle. It's longer this way than this way. So just make sure that the shorter side of your snowflake panel is the same length as your floral pieces. And what I was going to say, well, I'm still going to say, I'm going to say center it top to bottom and leave a 1/8 inch space on the right. As you'll notice in my sample, it should be an equal 1/8 inch around, but because I accidentally cut these smaller, I'm not sure if I did. I assume I did that for everybody. Yeah. Sorry about that, but you'll just have a bigger border at the top and the bottom, which shouldn't be a big deal. So you're going to put the first panel down with the 1/8 inch to the right, center top to bottom, and then we're going to put our snowflake panel flush up against that strip. And then we're going to put the other panel on the other side. And the reason why I am not telling you to put the two side panels on first and then put the snowflake in the middle is because sometimes if you do that, you'll have a hard time lining up the tops and the bottom edges. So that's why I went 1, 2, 3 instead of 1, 2, 3. And then you're going to put your shimmer trim. Now the shimmer trim I did cut to the size I intended the other pieces to cut. So we're going to go ahead and cut a 1/4 inch off of that shimmer trim, so it is the same height. So mine is 4 1/4 inches, which is what I originally intended it to be, I'm now going to cut it so that it's 4 inches. And if you want to eyeball this and cut it with your scissors, you can do that. If you didn't put any of your pieces down, you can hold it up and hold it up against it and cut it to the same height. Or I don't know actually if you just saw what I did, but let me show you again. I put my ruler at 4 inches. Now that I cut it off, it doesn't want to cooperate. If that was my full piece of shimmer trim, I put my ruler at 4 inches and then I cut it. Whichever way works for you. And then take the backing off. And I am going to go ahead and put this on the left side of the card. I don't want to cover up my point of my snowflake. I'd rather cover up my, oops, didn't quite cut it short enough. That's another way to trim it right there if you, I'd rather cover up the floral than the point of my snowflake, but that's your decision. And then we have to go into our embellishments and we have to find our bear. You're going to find one of the larger stars. Now, large is relative, but when that's the small one, that's the larger one. Now, this is intended to be the right size, but I didn't like the look of that side. I liked this side better. So I'm going to use it upside down. And then the other embellishment we're going to use is this banner that says "Let's Get Cozy." Oh, here it is. And we're going to go ahead and put foam tape on each of those 3 embellishments. Remember, on the star, we're going to put it on the right side. Put the foam tape. I'm just cutting pieces of foam tape here. And cut a couple of skinnier pieces to put on the bear's legs. That's the advantage I find to the tape as opposed to the foam dots, although you can cut the dots too, but the tape, I find it easier to cut to the size I need. Okay, so the banner is going to go in the top left corner. Well, not quite in the corner, but in the top left. I've got it about 1/4 of an inch in from the left side of the card and about 3/4 of an inch down from the top. I'm going to put the star right in the middle of the snowflake, and I've got the points facing, you know, I've got a point up and down vertically and left and right horizontally, right? And then I'm going to put the bear in the bottom right. So there you go. And I'm going to use 2 small gems on this one. I'm going to put one right in the center of the star and one in the center of this flower that's on the bear's back. I got some glue oozing out on these. I put a little, my dot was a little too big. I'm telling you, these gems do not want to play nice with me tonight. I think they're trying to prove that they have plenty of stick, and I don't need to add that extra glue. Oh no, Bonnie. I hope you got it cooperating with you. She said she has a major ATG gun malfunction. Those always happen at the worst times. And usually, at least for me, it's like, oh, I only had one more piece to put down and you had a break on me or something. The video will be available at the same link well, indefinitely, so you can always go back and watch again when you get everything working properly. All right, so we just did the bear. Now we are going to do the moose. Okay, so I'm going to tell you right here. So this is this moose card is one of the cards from the paper. Now you can see on my card here, I have a bit of a red border. On this card, I have no red border. It's just around the blue. So if I cut yours with a red border, you can A, cut it off, or B, leave it. If you leave it, and it's a nice symmetrical border, you can eliminate this piece of paper and maybe use it for a different card, because as you can see, I layered the card onto that piece of paper. But I'm looking at my piece here, and it is almost the same size. Because that red border is already on the card, I'll hold it up to here so you can see it better. I don't really need this piece because it doesn't add a whole lot to it. So you can make a decision. I'm going to eliminate that layer because I have this red line around it. But if your piece got cut, so it's only the blue, or you want to cut it so it's only the blue, then you can layer it. But I am going to go ahead and skip that step because it doesn't seem worth it to use that big, nice piece of paper and nobody's actually going to see it. The graphic 45 piece that has all these elements, it's always a nice one, but like I said, it's a challenge to cut. Okay, so this card is a little different in size. It's actually 8.5 inch wide. So we're gonna excuse me. We're gonna score it at 4.25 inches. Half of the 8.5, and it's actually once we turn it around to the proper orientation, it's actually 6¼ inches wide, which is slightly wider than the other cards we've done, but it will also fit in an A6 envelope. So the A6 envelopes are big enough to take a piece, a card 6¼ inches wide. So when you are cutting 12 by 12 paper, having a 6-inch wide card is much more economically sound than having a 6¼ because 6¼ you can only get one piece from a 12 by 12 paper, but if it's 6 inches wide you can get 2 by the 12 inch. So now you know why most of our cards are 6 inches wide. But this one is 6¼ inches wide, and I used 8½ inch wide paper, which is why it's 8½ by 6¼ because I wanted to fit the 4x6 card on it. So you put a 4x6 card on a 4¼ by 6¼ inch card, and you get that perfect 1/8 inch border all the way around, assuming that you don't put it on crooked like I just did. I'm just going to try to adjust that a little bit. So this piece of red cardstock is 4x6x4, and like I said, if that glue is a little, you can mount. If your card only got cut to the blue, then you can mount it on that and have 2 layers. But I am good right there because I can still see the red border, which was the whole purpose. All right, so now we're going to go digging in our embellishment kit, and we're going to find our mousse, our blue mousse, and a couple of flowers. We're going to look for the gray flower with the red center. That's that one. And then we're going to look for the flower that has a stem, and there's one that's facing to the left, but we want the one that's facing to the right. Oh, here it is. So we're going to put foam tape on all 3 of these pieces. Now, the mousse here has pretty skinny legs, so I'm going to cut some pretty skinny pieces of foam tape here because I do want to secure those down. Now I'm not going to put them down in the front legs all the way at the bottom because that is really, really skinny. But I think this will be enough here. Got a piece that's stuck to my scissors. So I think those pieces should be enough. I mean, if you wanted to cut a really, really tiny piece there to put on his hooves there, go for it. I'm going to put a bigger piece in the middle of that flower. And I'm going to put a piece there, and these 2 pieces are bigger, so I'm going to put those on the mousse. I'm going to cut another, not quite as narrow, but smaller than the pieces I had, and put one there on the leaf or the stem of that flower. And add just a few more pieces to this mousse. Okay. Now, this mousse embellishment is not quite the same size as the mousse on the card, so we're just gonna place it. I placed it to the little bit of the left, and so it kind of looks like there's two mousse. If you're looking, there's one closer to you, one farther away. So you can see I kind of put it to the left, so you can see a little bit of the leg of the flat one, a little bit of the front leg, and then you can see it. So it's just kind of giving him some dimension. And then I'm going to put down my flower with the stem. And I'm going to put this up here, right on top of the, see there's another flower that looks just like it. I'm going to put it right on top. And then I'm going to put, actually, I'm going to turn it a little more so that the blossom is right on top, but the stem doesn't cover up quite as much of that flower as the first placement I made. And then I'm going to put this gray flower kind of overlapping that stem and overlapping the blue flower, the flat blue flower, just a little bit. Now we're going to put some gems on here. We're going to put a dot of glue up here in the white space between the flowers and the mousse. One up here between the two tallest pine trees. And then one down here about 1/8 of an inch below the word time, centered between the I and the M. And we're going to put the big one, the big gem, a big gem, on that first dot we made. Up here. And then the other two are going to be smaller gems. I'll give you a closer look in a minute. Okay. So we've got the big gem up here, a small one between the two trees, and one down here underneath the word time. And this is one of the cards that I did put a strip on the inside. I think it was because when I cut this piece of paper here, I had a leftover strip, and I went, oh, let's just put it on the inside of the card. So I'm going to put the adhesive on the back, have the red side show, and I'm just going to put it here on the left side of the inside. You can add this or not. And I have an 1/8 inch border at the top, bottom, left side. So that's what I meant by like decorating the inside with strips if you have them left. And a lot of these embellishments that we're going to have left, you know, they have sentiments on it. So you could always use these on the insides of your cards too if you wanted to. Okay. Next card is Let's Get Cozy. And this one is done very similar to the one we just did. This is another card from that piece of paper, and so is this piece. Again, this piece of cardstock is oops, wrong piece of equipment there. It's 8.5 by 6 1/4, so we can frame our 6 by 4 card perfectly. So we're going to score on the 8.5-inch side. Oops. Hit my finger there, went off track. We're going to score it 4 1/4. And just ignore me here. I'm just trying to erase that errant score line there. Like I said before, this cream Colonial White cardstock is the same on the front and the back, so you don't have to worry about a dark side versus a light side. Okay, so our Let's Get Cozy card should fit perfectly centered on the card. And next we're going to put our Let It Snow in the bottom right corner. We're going to place it on the card about 1/4 inch from the bottom and 1/4 inch from the right edge. Maybe a little more. I really put it so there's like an 1/8 inch of the background of that Let's Get Cozy. So you've got an 1/8 inch between the red line of this Let It Snow and the red line of the bigger card. And then we need our Let's Get Cozy embellishment. And then we also see this red banner. It kind of looks like it's part of the card, but it actually is an extra embellishment. So we are going to look for that. So that's what that looks like. So this one we're going to put flat. And I'm going to put it in the top right here. It's very close to the red edge over here on the left, and about 1/4 inch down from the top on the right side here. And then we're going to put Oh, we also need to find our blue. Whoops. Is this what I used? Yeah. Um, oh, hold on. Now I'm not sure which one I used. Let me just consult the other cards. Yep, it's this one. This blue flower here with these stems. Now, if you want to leave these stems on, you're welcome to. They're very beautiful, but what I did was I raised my blue flower up, and those are not, I don't want to put foam tape behind those. So I just found it easier to cut them off. You can actually save them if you wanted to glue them flat onto another card. I just don't, I'm afraid if I don't put foam tape on top or underneath them, they're you're going to hit them and kind of mangle them, but they're too small to fit that foam tape under. So we're gonna, that flower and our Let's Get Cozy, we're gonna put foam tape on the back of those. Okay, so I'm gonna put the Let's Get Cozy on first. And I'm going to put it on top of the Let's Get Cozy on the card. It's not quite as big, again, just like the moose. So I'm going to lift it up a little so I can cover up the top of the get, and then you get this second swirl underneath. So you can see the swirl that's of the C from the embellishment piece, but then you can also just see it from what's on the card, but you can't see that that there's another C underneath there. And then I'm going to put my blue flower over here next to my red flower and overlap it a little bit. And we're going to put 3 gems on this, large ones. And I'm putting one down here near the bottom of this flower stem, down here by the bottom of this flower stem, and right in the center of the snowflake on the Let It Snow panel. So it looks like that. Okay, my pile's gonna tip over here, so I'm gonna move the previous ones aside. Start a new pile. Our next card is on Scarlet cardstock. We've got a piece of shimmer trim. Okay, so we're back to our 6x9 cards. So we're going to score on the 9-inch side at 4.5. We've got the darker side facing us. I'm going to fold so the lighter side is inside, the darker side is on the outside. Okay, we've got our Hello Winter Bear, which is cut from that same piece of paper. Obviously, it was a very important piece of paper. Had a lot to it there. And we are going to put this on the left side of the card. We are going to put an 1/8-inch border at the top and on the left side. And there is going to be a little extra space at the bottom, but because we're going to add this piece. So you've got an 1/8 of an inch at the top and on the left. And then don't worry so much about the spacing on the bottom. We are going to then put our floral piece with the cream background. Put adhesive on the back of that. And we're going to put that on the right side, again with an 1/8 inch border at the top and at the right. And there should again be a bigger space at the bottom. And so we're going to put adhesive on this strip here that says winter weather is better together and the row of snowflakes on the red. This is again a strip from that that striped paper that had all the fun decorative strips on it. And this we are going to line up with the bottom of the card. Whoops, let's put it right side up. Kind of folded my card crooked. Okay. And it should be the same length of the card, which is 6 inches. So, you know, because our paper is 12 inches wide and I cut 6 inches to fit there, there was another 6 inches left of that strip. So I actually just put that on the inside of the card at the bottom. So you open it up, it's the same strip. So let's go ahead and do that now. This is a skinny strip, so I only put one strip of adhesive. If you wanted to, you could put 2. They'd probably overlap a little. But once this ATG tape is down, it is pretty secure. So I just put that on the inside. It was such a perfect fit that it just seems like it was meant to go there. But you could save it for another card if you prefer. And then the other piece that goes on here is this Let's Get Cozy from that piece of paper. And I'm going to put foam tape on the back of this. And when I put this one down, I'm going to place it so the right edge is flush with the right edge of the card. And I want it to be underneath the winter in this panel that says Hello Winter. But I want it pretty close to it because I don't want to cover up more of the bear than I have to. So I'll raise it up just a little bit. Okay, so you can see it's right underneath that R, except for that extra flourish they gave it. And then I'm going to, your shimmer trim should be the same width of your floral paper here. And I'm just going to put that right underneath. Now be careful because your banner is raised, so it's easy to slip your shimmer trim underneath it. I just want it right below the bottom edge. And now we're going to add some gems, 1 large and 2 small. And they're going to be in the snowflakes of the Hello Winter pattern panel. So you've got the bigger snowflake here, so the bigger gem goes here, and you've got 2 smaller snowflakes here. So I'm going to put a dot of glue in each of the middle of each of those snowflakes and put my gems there. I did put foam tape on the saying, Judy. So there we go. So the large gem here and a small gem in each of these. Okay, now we have one of the cards that I used the die cut on, and I die cut this out of the pewter cardstock. And you can attach this to your card with either a skinny tape, like an 1/8 inch tape to go around the outside, or you can add some small dots of glue, which is what I'm going to show you. This card is a little different of a size because I cut it to have a perfect 1/8 inch border around the die cut. So it is the 9 inches wide that we've been working with most of the time. I don't know how I can use the same tools over and over and they keep disappearing on me. Okay, so it's the 9 inches wide, so we're going to score at 4.5 on the cream cardstock, 4 on the white, sorry. And it's only 5 3/4 inches tall because the The die cut is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Why? I mean, that's if you put it on an A2 card, that is the size of an A2 card. So if you place this die cut, you could place it right on the front of an A2 card and not have any kind of border. But if you want a border around it like I have it, then you need to cut your cardstock a little bigger. So then we have to go to the bigger size envelope. All right, so like I said, you can get a skinny 1/8 inch wide tape to put around the outside, but I'm going to go ahead and use my glue. Now, again, don't want a ton of it. I only want a small amount. I'm putting the glue on the lighter side. I cut them all intending the darker side to be the side that was showing. I am going to put a small bead of glue down, but what I'm not going to do is put that glue directly on those cut stitches. They're supposed to look like stitches, because I did that on another die cut and it oozed, the glue oozed through those little holes a little more than I liked. So I'm trying to stick with the glue on the solid areas of the cardstock. And I'm just going to put a little tiny dot, just like I was putting it for a gem, in each of these center sections here, just to give it a little extra security when I glue this die cut onto my card. Now the hardest part is then picking it up and not getting your fingers in the glue. And you want an 1/8 inch border on each of the 4 sides. So, center it right on the card. And if you did a good job at putting limiting your amount of glue, you should have no oozing. I managed to do well on this one, but it's not because I'm perfect. It's just because I didn't put too much on this one. Believe me, there are plenty I have put too much on. And I think it just makes a beautiful background, I think. All right, so we've got these two, they kind of look like postage stamps with the bunnies on them. That came from that same piece of paper. It seems by now that that piece of paper, must be huge, but it's not. It's a standard 12 by 12. We're also going to look for 2 embellishments here. We're going to look for this banner that says "Stay Cozy," and then we're going to look for the bunny. It's a little easier to find them now that we've used a bunch of them. All right, so the first, I'm going to put adhesive, double-sided adhesive on the 2 stamps first. And I'm going to be a little bit tricky about how I place them down, how I line them up. So the first one, now I'm going to put it down, but I'm not going to press down on it. So I'm going to put it in this corner here, and I'm covering up all the cutouts in the die cut. You've got about 1/8 of an inch between the stitched line and the edge of the paper here on both the left side and the bottom. So I'm going to stick down that left side and bottom, but I'm not sticking down the right because I want the other one to go underneath. But I just want to, I want to control how they're lined up, which is why I put this one down first. And I'm going to put this one down so that it's very close to the stitch line at the right. And the top of this, the first one we put down, the bottom one, is almost lined up with the bottom of that lighter blue paw. Or it's covering the paw, it's lined up with the forearm of the bunny. Can you see that? So there's very little overlap of the bunny itself. And now if you're happy with the your alignment, you can go ahead and press those down. I'm gonna put foam tape on the back of the embellishment bunny and the banner that says "Stay Cozy." I'm gonna cut some skinnier pieces for the bunny because he's skinny. He's a skinny bunny. I might have not cut them skinny enough. I'm going to save that piece for later and cut a couple of skinnier pieces. Now the bunny I'm going to kind of put between the other two to make a cluster. So he's right there. And then the banner I'm going to put at the top towards the left at about almost an inch from the left side. But what I'm going to do is the very tip of that point, I'm going to line that up with the very top of the card. And then when I place it down, I'm going to make sure I want to see a little bit of the cutouts here on the left, but I don't want to overlap the bunny. It's going to really fall around on top of that 1C right there. And then we're going to put a couple of gems on here. We're going to put one in the middle of this shape underneath the banner, in this shape up here, and then one in the middle of the petals. Right down there. And I used 3 large ones on this card. I tell you, I've never had so much trouble with these gems. So I will tell you that the gems and the shimmer trim I'm using are called Bluebell. They are retired colors. They retired at the end of August. There might be some still available on the website, but we do have a lot of other colors that would work too. The red would work if you'd rather highlight the red than the blue. But the colors were so, this color worked with the Graphic 45 collection, so I went ahead and used it. Plus, I got them at a discount, which I gave you the discount, so there you go. Just the one here, and one here. Is there an easy way to separate the shimmer trim? No, there is not an easy way to shimmer. Some people use like an X-Acto knife. Sorry, I missed that question earlier, Bonnie. Some people use an X-Acto knife. Some people use their nails. I know it is a challenge, but sometimes it's easy and sometimes it is not. I guess if the solution is if you really don't like pulling off the adhesive, then you buy the glitter paper, which doesn't have adhesive on it. You have to add, and then you have to cut it into strips. So I guess that is the other the easy way to do it if you really struggle with it. You can try, if you don't like using the X-Acto knife, if you have a pin, you could always try sticking a pin in there too, between it, see if that helps. All right, so this is the other card we're going to do. We've only got a couple left. With the die cut, and this die cut I cut out of the Colonial White. And we're going to attach it the same way. And again, this card is the card stock is, what did I say it was? Is not 9. That's what I thought, but I hesitated there. 9 by 5 3/4. So we're going to score it on the 9-inch side. On the darker side at 4.5. And this is a different color cardstock. This is the only piece we used in this collection. It is in brand new color. It is called Mist. So it's kind of a blue, kind of a gray, has a little bit of green in it. It's a very interesting color. I just liked the contrast of the Colonial White with it, and then with the other color embellishments. So again, I'm going to put a thin line of glue around the edges, but not on top of that stitched line. And then I'm going to put a dot in the center of all these diamonds. Try to carefully pick it up without getting my fingers in it. And center it on the front of my card. Now, as you imagine, when you die cut this, you've got all these little petal shapes that come out. I threw mine away because I had a lot of them and they make a mess, but I'm sure somebody out there has done something fun with them. I have this little tiny sliver of paper that doesn't want to It's just stuck under there and doesn't want to. There we go. Didn't want to come out. It is really attached. Okay, so we've got our background, and now we're going to put a whole bunch of embellishments on this one. So we want the big clock, first of all. We want the banner that says "Take time to chill." And we want the blue flower that has those stems on it. This is why I looked to make sure I was cutting the right one last time. And then the red flower. Now we're going to put the clock down first, and I'm going to use some glue to put the clock down because we have this really skinny edge around the outside. So I'm going to put glue, try to keep it minimally, a skinny line of it all around the edge. And then I'm going to put a little more in the center. And I'm not going to worry about the numbers. And then you can put it in any, I didn't really put it perfectly on the 12, but you can if you prefer. And then I'm going to put foam tape on the banner and the two flowers. And put a skinnier piece down here where that kind of stem and leaf of the flower are. Put a couple more on the bloom. So I'm going to overlap the clock with the banner, and I'm going to put it on an angle so the right side of the banner is turned up, is up here, but I still want to see, I put it a little lower, I guess, on this one. No, I did pretty much the same. I still want to see a bunch of that star from the center of the clock, so I don't want to cover too much of that up. And I got the red flower, which I'm going to put down at the bottom here. And then I'm going to put the blue flower, and I'm going to overlap the red flower, but I'm going to put the stem and the leaf up towards the right. Excuse me. So it's up that direction. Excuse me. I've got my waves coming back. I'm not sure. They weren't there the whole time. Oh, good, Bonnie. I'm glad you finally got it. Some of the pieces are worse than others, that's for sure. Okay, so we're going to put 3 more large gems on this card. So I'm going to put one up here in this diamond above the flowers. Whoops, that was a big glob. I'm going to put one over here on the left. And then I'm going to put one kind of towards the center of that star on the center of the clock. I mean, the exact center of it is covered by the banner, but I'm going to put that dot of glue near as close to the center as I could get it. And then when I put the gem there, it'll look. I can slide it up a little bit under the banner a little bit, and it looks like it's centered. So there we go. All right, now we've got our deer card. We did the bear and the moose, and now we have the deer. You didn't. Okay, Bonnie, I will send you your gems. I'm sorry about that. I don't know how I missed that, because like I said, somebody must have gotten 2 sets. Because like I said, in the end, I had the perfect number, unless I miscounted. I don't know. I'm very sorry, but I will send those out to you tomorrow so that you can finish up your cards. All right, so we have our our scarlet cardstock. And it is 9 by 6 again. So we're going to score on the dark side at 4.5 inches. Okay, where did it go? There we go. I swear I wish I had a way to put a tie on this thing so I didn't constantly lose it. Fold it in half with the lighter side on the inside, oops, I didn't get that quite in the middle. The darker side on the outside. We are going to put adhesive on the back of our deer card. This card should be approximately 6 inches tall, so it should be pretty similar in height to your card. Mine is exactly 6. If it is slightly shorter, you're going to center it top to bottom. If it is slightly longer, you will attach it first, and then you can, if there's some overhanging, you can trim it like this, but it should be pretty close. Oh, and justify it all the way to the right edge. So you're going to line up the right edge of the card with the right edge of the panel with the right edge of the card. So then all your space should be on the left side here. And we have one last piece of shimmer trim to struggle with. And this piece should be cut slightly larger than your card. And I'm going to center it in the space that is left of the cardstock. So center it between the edge of your deer panel and the your fold here on the left side of the card. Try to get it straight, which I did not. So it's overhanging at the top and the bottom here. I'm just going to trim that off. I always turn it upside down because I find it easier, because you can slide your scissors right up against it. I find it easier to trim than to trim it from the front. Now we're going to find some embellishments. We need our deer and our star that is gray with the dark blue in the center square. We want a small gray flower. It has a red center. We're going to get a medium size star, blue and cream. And then we're going to get a little tiny one. So just to show you the size difference there. So a little one and a medium size one. And that should do it. So we're going to put foam tape on all 5 of these pieces. So we're going to need some pretty small pieces. Whoa. That was weird. My lights just like flared. Weird. And it's now suddenly brighter in here. I mean, it was pretty bright before, but that's really weird. Okay, now I want some really skinny pieces for the deer legs again. I'd say they should sell some really skinny foam tape, but honestly, it's like with the backing be just as hard to get off as on that shimmer trim. I don't know if that would be a good option or not. It tends to, when you cut these pieces, the backing tends to come off a little. So it's not so bad when you're placing it down. It's not so bad to try to get the backing pieces off, but it might be if it's manufactured that way. I'm putting, see, I can't even get it on there without the backing piece coming off. I'm putting little tiny pieces on these triangles, on one triangle on each side of the star. Not that you need so many pieces to keep it secured to the card. It will keep it secured. It's just a matter, I don't want, when you pick up the card, I don't want somebody's, you know, finger to get the edge and pull it up or put a fold in it. After you work so hard to make your card, I want it to stay looking nice. A small square on the back of the small star. And that's going to have to do it. Oops. All right, so I'm going to put the deer, again, this is kind of going to be a shadow look, just like the moose. So I'm going to put him a little bit down and to the right of the big guy who's on the card. I'm going to put this gray flower up on the right edge here, next to the red one. I'm going to put the tiny star up at the top on the right here, so that's overlapping that swirl that comes off of the L in bundle. I'm going to put the medium star on the left edge underneath the stars that are there, and I'm going to overlap the shimmer trim a little bit. And then I'm going to put this gray and blue star in the bottom left corner. And the way I'm going to position it is so that the blue square in the middle is on point, which means that the points of what would be the corners of the square are to the top, the bottom, the left, and the right. So it looks more like a diamond than a square. So I'm going to put that right in the bottom left corner. It's going to overlap the shimmer trim, and so it's kind of overlapping this other star that's printed on the card. So you see the points are top, bottom, left, and right. Now we're going to put some gems on here. We've got 3 small gems, and one of them is going up here at the very top above the B in bundle. Now every time I say bundle, I think of that Geico commercial with John Hamm. And I'm going to put one to the right side of the deer down low here. And then I'm going to put one above the dark blue star that's printed on the card to the left of the big red deer. And There, like I said, three small gems. Okay, so we've got up here above the B. Well, let me just clean up a little glue off of that one. All right, so up here above the B, down here above the blue star. It's hard to get you to see them with they're really shiny in the light. So, and then down here to the right of the deer's leg. Little, yeah, all three are small ones. Okay, and we've only got one card left. We're back to our standard card size, our 5.5 by 8.5. So we're going to score on the 8.5-inch side at 4.25. Got colonial white cardstock, so score on either side. We've got our red floral paper. Going to put that down first. Centered on the card, so you have your 1/8-inch border all the way around. We are going to place our There's Snow Place Like Home panel on top of another piece of colonial white cardstock. Center it. And then again with regular adhesive on the back of that. And we're going to place this on the card. In the bottom left corner, we're going to leave about 1/4 inch, a little less than 1/4 inch on the left side and on the bottom. More than 1/8, less than 1/4, which of course is 3/16, but some people get antsy if I start using the 16th measurement. So and then we've got this strip of snowflakes, which we used on another card. We will use that again on the right side. And what I'm going to do is center it in the space. Mine is a tiny bit long, so I'm just going to trim it. That's better. I'm going to center it in what's left of the red paper, the space created by that red paper between the two borders of the cream cardstock. So just center it in that space. I'm telling you, I am off today at putting things on straight. Okay, so now we have to look for our embellishments, and we are going to do, we're going to find these two kind of stitched looking stars here. And then we're looking this other flower on the stem. This is the one that is left facing. And then we want our ticket that says "Stay Cozy." And we are going to put foam tape on all of those pieces. Got some pieces I cut and didn't use. On the last card, whoops. So I've got the ticket first. I am going to put the ticket, I'm going to line up the right side of the ticket with the right edge of the red cardstock, and I'm going to position it so that I make sure that I'm above the houses. I don't want to cover up the roof of that house there. I'm going to put the flower in the bottom right. Under that ticket there. And now I've got the two stitched stars, and one of them I'm going to position over the right top corner of this panel. Straight up and down, so the highest points are up and down and left and right. And then I'm going to put the other one, I'm going to turn it 45 degrees so that the points are on the diagonal, and I'm going to just overlap that top left corner of the ticket. So see the points on this one are top, bottom, left, right. This one, the points are on the diagonal. And I'm overlapping that ticket just a little bit. Not crucial spacing, it's just where I put them. Okay, and I'm going to put a small gem on the center of each of those stars, and then I'm going to put a larger gem sort of above between them. And if for some reason you don't have any large ones left, you can put a small one in that place. I do have enough, and you should too, but there's an uneven number of small ones and large ones on each sheet, and everybody got a half a sheet of each. And so you either got one extra big one or one extra small one. So if you have to adjust the sizes on this last card, no big deal. that bigger gem I had here, and the two small ones in the center of the stars. And that's it. Hopefully that wasn't too bad, and you were mostly able to keep up. Like I said, as always, the video will remain available, so if you need to rewatch to catch up on anything, all of the extra embellishments and papers are there for you to, you can make some more cards. If you need any extra supplies, let me know. I don't have any other workshops scheduled right now. My schedule was thrown off this month, so I'm behind. But I am hoping to get one or two more in before the end of the year. And then of course next year. So, you know, you'll get my emails when I'm able to schedule something. I'm just going to hang out for a few more minutes here in case to go over the delay, in case anybody has any questions. You're welcome, Bonnie. I'm so glad you can join us. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay, there's these weird shaped, just to let you know, there's these weird shaped, I think these came out of the center of the clock between the numbers, but there's kind of some weird shaped embellishments here. That one kind of looked like a thimble, but some of the other ones, it's like, the first time I saw them, I'm like, I don't know what these are, and then I realized that, oh, they're just extra pieces, so. Some of them are very tiny. That one looks like it wasn't cut right. Oh, good. I'm glad you did. If Mom says hi, by the way. If you think of it, if you could give a thumbs up to the video, I'd appreciate it. YouTube likes when you do that. And Bonnie, I will get those gems out to you. So hopefully everybody has lots of cards now to start their Christmas card collection, because apparently, since I can't even believe it's November, Christmas will be here before we know it. I heard a thing a couple of weeks ago that Christmas was only 10 weeks away, so I think now Christmas is only 8 weeks away, which is an even scarier thought than it being November 1st. So and don't forget, if you want this November stamp of the month, that needs to be purchased in November. So I don't know. Close to my heart never forewarns us of sales. So I don't know if there will be a Black Friday or Cyber Monday sale. However, there have been sales on those days in the past few years, so I wouldn't be surprised. So you may want to keep an eye out on your email, or you know, check the website and see if there are any good deals on anything on those days. All right, I guess I'm going to sign off. Hope you all had a good night. Thank you very much.